good.
Yep.
Okay.
Everything is live. So whenever you're ready, Donny, we're good to go.
Hey, everybody, this is Donny Parenteau, and we are at another sit-down podcast. Get ready, people. Buckle up.
Buckle up.
Perfect. I love it. Welcome back, everybody at home. Good to see you guys joining us again this week, and for those of you listening. And yeah, huge week this week. As you guys know, it has been postponed a couple times, but we got her done, man.
Not a couple times, just once, right? Because of the weather.
Right? Yeah, weather.
Yeah,
last time.
Yeah. When I'm saying a couple, because Amanda Hagel was postponed as well there too. Yeah. But
good old Saskatchewan's second winter.
Hell yeah. Welcome, Mr. Donny Parenteau. Thank you so flippin' much for joining us this week, man. Oh, it's a true honor, man. True honor. So much to get into. I don't even know where to begin. I've got like 10 different things I want to address.
I'll start where I first met and saw Donny. That was in Bellevue.
Sure. Okay.
In 2012.
Okay.
Or something.
I think it's, there's something like that, yeah.
Somewhere around there.
A while back, yeah.
So I'm new to the country and I'm on the rec board and people are like, we should do some music. Like, okay. And who do we get? And, we should get Donny Parenteau. I'm like, who's that? So everybody's like, what? You don't know Donny Parenteau? I'm like, no, I'm new. I don't know. So yeah, then the rec board booked you. We had a very good time. Yeah. And then we had an after party at some farm later on. I think you were there too.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. It was a good time.
A little bit foggy, but yes, I was.
Yeah, I don't remember the after party at all.
No, I remember parts of the after party. Yeah.
It was good. Yeah, we had a blast. It was a lot of fun.
That's how I know.
That's how you know Donny?
Yeah.
Oh man.
How about you?
Oh dude, I could go back to when I was a flipping kid, man. When I was like, so back early 90s.
Yep.
We used to have season tickets to the Prince Albert Raiders.
Yep.
They're the WHL team in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan here. And yeah, we had season tickets from like 90 to 96 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And in our section, right beside, like, I was sitting with you and your mom and your brothers. Yeah. You guys were all like, we were all just right there for like 6 years, man. Every game, we were all there. Yeah. So, but being a kid, I didn't know who you were there. Like, you weren't at every game, but when you were in town, you know, you would come to a game with your family and stuff, and you'd be there. But I had no flipping idea who you were until fast forward a few years, and my mom starts performing, and mom's in the Country North show and all that, and then I started to figure out.
You're like, wait a minute.
Then
I remember that.
Yeah, mom.
He don't know nothing about hockey.
Exactly. So it goes pretty far back, but to add to that, just very briefly here, is I actually worked with your brothers for years. I think about 4 years in Prince Albert. Both
bottlers.
You betcha. Both Bill and Wayne. I worked with Bill was my foreman for like 4 years there. And one thing I can say about that guy, he's the only man on the face of the planet who I know who would eat a whole apple, like apple core and everything, man. And I'll never forget that. He just, because do you eat the core when you eat an apple?
No.
Yeah. Bill would just pepper it out, seeds and all, man.
And that's your brother?
Well, actually, Wayne is my brother.
Okay.
Wayne's my oldest brother, and then Bill's a cousin. So Bill ended up marrying Sherry Tate, and my brother ended up marrying Jane Tate, the oldest Tate daughter. So the two cousins became brother-in-laws.
Yes.
Okay. Bring on a banjo, everybody.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's where that goes. But they become family.
Okay.
Yeah, and then back even farther now, when I was just starting to play music in junior high school, Bill's younger brother Conrad Parenteau was a guitar player, and one of the first talent shows that I ended up going in on behalf of our school, I was playing bass. And Conrad taught me how to play bass, and I thought it was cool because I was really shy, very shy kid. So Conrad showed me what to do, and I'd play the bass, and come time for the talent show night. And I remember standing outside, we're looking out the door, Conrad's not there. He's late. All of a sudden, Conrad pulls up in a car and says, "Hey, cuz, you're on your own. They won't let me in because he says, I'm drinking." We're in like grade 8, man.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I went up there playing bass by myself with the girl singing with a guitar.
Freaking rights. Well, one of the main reasons, Donny, why I asked you if you'd be willing to come out here,
Sure.
is in the course of Mark and I doing this program for as long as we have, your name keeps popping up all the time, man. We've got so many what's the word I'm looking for? Not affiliates. There's a lot of people that we work with and guests that we've had on the show that have worked with you, who you've mentored and been a huge part of the, I want to say, Prince Albert scene. Like, I don't know if people actually realize how much of a staple you are in that. Like, and I'm talking Josh Stumpf, Aiden Edwards, Gary O. Like, they've all been guests on the show, and your name has come up every single time we sit with those people. They all have nothing but good things to say about you, and we know that because we've known you for years.
Well, do you know,
but
I'm very fortunate to be from a city where when I first started playing, I've had people help me in the very beginning. Because in the very beginning, Mom and Dad didn't have enough money for lessons because we didn't have a lot of money. I barely got my instruments fixed.
Right.
Just to learn. Mm-hmm. And when people say, play till your fingers bled, that's not a lie. When you're playing on an instrument where your strings are that high off of the fretboard and you're squeezing to try and make the sound.
Yeah,
my fingers used to bleed. But just playing, getting used to doing that. But then I finally got to meet some people, big influences that I had. And that was the fortunate time in Prince Albert when you had 6 nights a week entertainment anywhere in PA, up to 9 bars.
Yeah.
In PA with entertainment every single night, Monday through Saturday afternoon jam sessions.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So the musicians and the music that was in PA was just overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to know the people that I did in the beginning, and getting to meet guys like Freddie Pelche, mm-hmm. George Piston, who was a big influence on me. He took me aside, fiddle player, and took me aside and showed me a lot of stuff. And the way he would show me, people said, "Well, did he show you music?" I said, "No. I never learned how to read music until probably COVID." And so all those years, even Neal McCoy years, everything. I didn't know how to read music.
Right.
I just never had a desire to learn. But George would show me stuff by playing a part. And he'd say, "Okay, here's the first part." And he'd play a little bit. "Okay, do that." And then I'd do it. And if I made a mistake, he'd say, "Nope, watch your finger here." "Okay, got it." And then I'd do it.
Yeah.
So he'd finish half the fiddle tune. He'd go upstairs so I'm going to go make a tea. I'll be right back. You practice that first half. By the time he come back downstairs with the tea, I was done, ready for the second half. So I'd always learn 1 or 2 fiddle tunes every time I'd go see him and bring it back and just keep adding and adding. But I had that desire to play, to learn, to become better.
Right.
Because when you're playing music, you're not in a competition with other people. You're in a competition with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's like golf.
Yep.
You know, you got to prove to yourself that you can do it and become better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to you. You're only going to get out of it what you put into it. So having said that, all through those years in the beginning, to go through the career that I've had, to come back home, it gives me a lot of pride to help people, to see talent in people, and to know you've got something.
Yeah.
You may not see it, but I do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I seen in Josh.
Yep.
Aiden Edwards reached out to me and said, "Would you start teaching me how to play, singing?" He wanted to start singing a little bit. So he come for guitar lessons first. Aiden did, and I started showing him some things on the guitar. And I said, "Okay, why do you want to play guitar?" And he says, "Because I'd like to sing." "Well, let me hear you sing." He started singing. I said, "What are we doing? Guitar lessons. Let's work on your voice."
Yeah.
Okay, so we worked on his voice. Then we started writing songs. It was the same thing with Josh. Just teaching them the format of how to write songs.
Oh, I love it.
But the beauty of Josh, and dude, if you're watching this, I'll never forget how you used to do this. You call me online during COVID, and he'd sit there and get on. He's probably in his bedroom, I think, and he'd just say, "Okay, for today's lesson," he said, "Can we just talk about the music business? I want to learn things about the business." And that's smart to do that. Go to people and don't be afraid to ask questions, especially the ones who have done
Oh, man.
it.
And he would have been, what, like 17, 18 at that time?
Just started.
Yep.
Just fresh. And then, like I say, and then teaching him, getting him into songwriting and doing things. And then, so once he got into it, he'd always have cool ideas and cool starts. And then I'd say, "Okay, remember to do this and this and this." And we'd try things and wrote a bunch of stuff together in the beginning.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm very proud of how far he has come, how much his voice has grown, the person he is today. And I love the guy.
And he's not done yet.
Same thing with,
he's not done yet.
They're just getting started, but that's what I'm saying in the beginning. That's where my thing, where I feel I've become like George.
Right.
Piston was to me.
Yep.
I'm George now. And
Yes.
I got to share that with everybody that I can, because the way my mom always told me, what you have is a gift, but don't take it for granted, because it can be taken away as fast as you got it.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's
100%.
why I like sharing, and I'll share that gift with anybody. That's why, like, young little students I have, little fiddle player students, I love it because they're so eager to learn. But that's my job as a teacher. I want to make sure when they leave my house, they're just excited about what I just showed them, and they're going to practice when they go home.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's
Oh man,
that's where it all comes down to.
Yeah.
Freaking rights. I think this might have been the year after I graduated, but if I'm not mistaken, didn't you do something at St. Louis School one year as well? Didn't you like write a song with each class or something?
Oh, I did.
On the lines of that?
That was recently. That was a project I did with Gary Ostafachuk.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gary
Yeah, I
was part of that too? See, I
Gary
did not
was
know
part
that.
of that.
Yeah,
Well,
so
not-
that was
not when you were in high school, but this was
This was
three
probably
years
about
ago.
3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
okay.
2 or 3 years back.
I was
yeah.
thinking
and his son went out and got himself a drone to shoot the video, had the video concept, so that we all worked together.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. The way we did it was St. Louis called me up and just asked me to school and said, would you come out and demonstrate maybe a songwriting class to the kids? And I said, well, I got one better. And I said, how about we write a song together?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, well, how could we do that? And I told her the program of what we could do and to get it done. And we had like a 4-class program where the class number 1, I kind of introduced myself and I told them what I wanted on class number 2. Get ready for this. I want everybody to write a poem. Write a poem about St. Louis. And what do you like about St. Louis? And then I took that poem, all their poetry, and I took one line from each poem.
Yeah.
And I put it down, and I just had this block of ideas. Then I put down, and Richard Pilon was in there, and the different names. And I said, but you guys forgot one important name. I said, do you realize one guy that lives here in St. Louis is from here, born and raised? I said, Marcel Lussier. You ever hear that name? And I say, yeah, I think so. 7th degree black belt in karate, 2 world championships.
Yeah.
But he's not on a billboard. I said, and to me, that was wrong. I said, he should have had a billboard.
There you go. Here's a call out to St. Louis. We want to see a billboard of Marcel Lussier beside Joey Teterenko and Richard Pilon there.
So it's just, it's one of those things because they should take pride in the fact of what he's done with his karate and his career up to that point. And I said, so he needs to be in the song. So we mentioned Richard Pilon. We mentioned Marcel.
Hell yeah.
Lussier Studio. And I mentioned the people because I like giving those accolades when they deserve them.
Exactly.
And that guy deserves
Credit where credit's due.
So that's how it started. And then from there, we went back and then Gary, we recorded the song. And once the song was done, we even had the kids. We recorded the kids' voices, brought them in, then shot a video with the kids. And it turned out to be a great project. And
So where's that video?
On YouTube.
you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
You can find it online.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm going to have to check that out after. I never even saw it.
Yeah. Just
See, I was thinking, I don't know why. I remember in high school there was an artist, for the life of me, I cannot remember his name, who he was. I think, I keep wanting to say Don Bernstein, but I think that's a comedian.
That's a comedian.
Yeah, so it wasn't him. He was there too, but
maybe it was Donny, but he doesn't remember.
No, it wasn't Donny Parenteau. There was a musician who came out. I can't remember his name, but he had done something similar. He wrote a song with each one of the classes, like 6 to 12.
Yeah.
And I just remember that because of the song that we did, and so he came up with like this little album thing. And I knew that you had
I know
went.
who you're talking about, but
I can't remember what his name was neither.
Yeah.
And we talked about that with Rick, and
Yep.
the guy's name came up. I still can't remember. Yeah. But regardless, it was that was like when I was in grade 8 or something, and I thought like the year after I graduated, which was in 2000, I thought maybe it was 2001 or 2 you had went there, but I didn't realize it was not that long ago.
Well,
so hell yeah.
When I first come home, a lot of the schools that I would go talk to was I would do inspiration, motivational speaking, talking to schools and telling them about my career, try to inspire them, just to let them know that music took me all over the world.
Yeah.
And I'd show them photos of people that I've met, different things that I've done. And it was so cool. I loved doing it because I inspired a lot of kids. And then the anti-bullying campaign came out. And people ask me, well, why were you so fascinated with anti-bullying? What was it that triggered you? I said, seeing the frickin' headlines in the paper where a 12-year-old kid would commit suicide because some kid at school didn't like the pants he was wearing because they might have been used. And I said, this has to stop. There's got to be something we can do. So I just went out as an artist and I said, I'm going to do something. And I'd go up and I'd talk with schools. And then I wrote a song based on anti-bullying, and it's called Imagine a World. And there's a video out on that. I did that with Michelle Dubois. And the idea and the concept behind the song was a young girl that I met up north. And she put her hand up in front of 600 kids, come up to the front. She was 12 years old. She said, this happened a couple of years ago on a school bus. And I said, what happened? She said, they used to push me, punch me, pull my hair. One day they held me down. They would spit on me. And one day they held me down and they cut my hair. I said, when did it finally stop? She said, I was having a bath one night and Mom walked into the bathroom and seen the bruises all over my body. And I'm crying because my little girl's at home.
Yeah.
Just small. And I just visualized that happening to her on a school bus, and I can't be there to help her. And it just broke my heart. So I was on the way home, and at that time we had a motor home, we had a driver, and I sat up front. I'll never forget, I grabbed a paper and pen and I just started writing down the ideas. And I wrote the song, had the melody in my head. By the time I walked in the door, I ran downstairs, greeted my wife and Juliana, and I went downstairs and said, I need about 30 minutes. I come back up and had the song wrote. And that was Imagine a World.
Holy
so that's how
moly.
all that started. And I thought, let's get this song out there. And we ended up releasing the song. Nothing to do with royalties or anything, because I gave all that away.
Yeah.
And I said, if you want the song, we'll email it to you for free. It's not about the money.
Yep.
It's about getting this song out there and you hear it.
And yeah.
And a lot of people took that video and they play it for the kids in class. And so I would do that. And then now it's back to the point where I kind of find that the bullying, I don't want to say it's a phase because it's still out there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not as bad as it used to be. Because there was a time it was really, really bad. But now, so it's just kids still need to be inspired. And music's always going to be there. So I still go out and to this day, and I talk with kids at schools.
I love that.
And I let them know.
I freaking think
that's
that's
what it's about.
Kick-ass, dude.
Yep.
I my hat's off to you for that. That's doing that isn't an easy task neither.
No.
Having to deal with kids all day, but
well, and that's the thing. People ask me, what's the coolest reward you ever got, or what do you want to see? I said, I've always wanted to see that one kid come to me when they're older and said, what you said to me, I'll never forget, and it helped me get through, and it did change my life. Well, guys, that happened.
Hell yeah.
A little girl that I had met, and the next time I seen her, she was 17 years old, just graduated from high school, and she says, I'll never forget, I was in grade 3, and you come to my school, and what you said helped me get through school, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh man,
That's grade 3.
That's the best.
Grade
Isn't
3.
that worth more than all the
but that's
fucking money in the world?
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's about giving. It's about being good people.
Yes.
Be good, and like I said, I'm very fortunate to get to still do to this day with my music, and to be blessed enough to do that and to travel the world and to still have that career, and it's nice to give back.
Oh hell yeah, dude.
I love doing that. This 88 Ford may be old, but she's new to me. The pickup may be long gone, but it gets me from A to B. Got a double wide trailer parked under trees to get some shade. These overworked hands paid for all I've got today. Well, I ain't rich, I'm damn show free. No mansion on the hill like you see on TV. I'm just trying to play out the hand that was dealt for me. Got me a wife, I got my dog. Yeah, out here we're living high on the hog. A little piece of heaven Here on earth you can barely see, but it's all I need. Well, this old second-hand transistor still comes in clear. A coat hanger antenna helps me get songs I like to hear. And on this dust dirt floor we still can sure cut a rug. When the kids get tired and go to bed, we can kiss and hug. I ain't rich, but I'm damn sure free. No mansion on the hill like you see on TV. I'm just trying to play out the hand that was dealt for me. Got me a wife, I got my dog. Yeah, out here we're living high on the hog. A little piece of heaven here on earth you can barely see, but it's all I need. I live life day by day and don't let it get to me. As long as I have by my side a few friends, family. I ain't rich, I'm damn sure free. No mansion on the hill like you see on TV. I'm just trying to play out the hand that was dealt for me. I got me a wife, I got my dog. Yeah, out here we're living high on the hog. You don't need an invitation, stop by anytime you please. To that little piece of heaven on earth you can barely see, but it's all I need. Yep.
I freaking love it. I showed you these earlier. I'm going to show the audience here as well. So these, you guys, I've had these
back through time, people.
Hell yeah. Donny actually has a good little story about
take a look
this.
at that mug, everybody, right there. This happened at lunchtime back at our old house in the West Flat. And my wife and I had just bought the house, and I was getting ready. We did this album. Part of the album was actually recorded in the basement of that home. And she come home one day getting ready for lunch. She didn't have a lot of time. And I told her, I said, they need a photo today. She said, today? I took pictures. I said, that one's not going to work. I said, we need a photo today. So she says, go get dressed. And she was angry. And she's got the camera taking pictures. So that's my happy look.
When I saw this, I was like, oh, just a kind of a tough guy look. But now the backstory.
Now it makes
story behind
you
it.
look pissed.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, these two are unopened. I think this, I was telling you before, I think this one I got when you performed in Bellevue here over a decade ago. Yeah. And these two, I think I don't know where I got them. I'm going to say I got them off of Mum. It was stuff when I was going through Mum's things. Yeah. I found these, so I snagged them. But maybe after the show, if you would be so kind, Absolutely. I would love to get these signed. I think that would be cool. Put them up with the Wall of Fame here.
That last album's an interesting one because that's the people, like a lot of people, they ask, how much does a CD cost to make when you're going in the studio to make projects and everything? Mm-hmm. So, and I went through the phases in the very beginning, and they said, the first one ended up costing me about $8,000, and I didn't go after funding or nothing. I just paid for everything on my own. And the second one came around, and I was fortunate enough they had what was it called? Rolco. Rolco had a fund like up to 10,000, Rolco 2K or something they called it. So they gave you $10,000 towards an album. Well, then I went to a sponsor, and I was actually playing a bar. It's called the Wild West Saloon in Edmonton, Alberta. Well, that guy believed in me so much, he gave me $10,000 of their money. So I had $20,000.
Oh, wow.
And I needed 10 more. And a lady up in Fort McMurray who we were working with, Gwen, reached out to me and says, okay, I want to help you with your album. And she paid the other 10. And that was $30,000 towards the next project. Steve Fox came in, and I wrote a bunch of songs with him, and we ended up recording that album. Well, I'll never forget when that album was done. We released it. It was all good. Then one morning I got a phone call from Jason Brinkworth, drummer. And he said, buddy, I want to be the first to congratulate you. I said, what? He said, you've just been nominated for a JUNO. I said, what? He said, yeah, Aboriginal Album of the Year. Because it was Aboriginal back then, not
Right.
Indigenous, it was Aboriginal. Aboriginal Recording of the Year. He said, you just got nominated for a JUNO. And it was a 2007 JUNOs. So 2008, we go, and I had no clue what I was walking into. And went to this award show, and I had my wife Patty with me. It was in Calgary. And that's just when Johnny Reed was coming out. So a good friend of ours, Ron Sakamoto, who was actually working and partnered with Johnny Reed, they were at the show, and we knew each other. So, hey, Donny, because all through the Neal McCoy years, whenever we do shows up here in Canada, Sakamoto was the promoter. So that's how we knew each other. So when I come up here and started my career, any advice I needed or help, I'd call Sakamoto and ask him. Here's the situation. What should I do? How much do you think I should ask for? All this stuff.
Yeah.
He'd give me advice.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, they're standing there, and they go outside, and my wife goes outside for a quick second. Well, Johnny doesn't have his ticket to get in. So my wife Patty comes running back in, grabs my ticket, says, I'll be right back. They used our tickets to get in.
Oh, man. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
So it was great. But that's how that one started. But the one that you just had in your hand, then I went to the next level. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to go all out, what do I do with this project? So I reached out to Harry Stinson, who was the one that discovered and really worked hard with Corb Lund and made Corb Lund just who he was across Canada.
Right.
Really worked with him. And Harry's a drummer for Marty Stewart, but he's also a Grammy-nominated producer. So the one thing that I always did, that's what Sakamoto always told me to do. Keep your name on as producer. Every project, at the end of the day, it's your name. If you just hand control to a producer and they screw up, they don't care. But keep your name on there and make sure you have final decision. Okay, good. So I called Harry Stinson. I did the same thing with Steve Fox. So I went to Harry Stinson and said, I'd like you to work with me if you're interested. And he heard me sing. He says, yeah, I'll work with you. But I said, only one stipulation. I need to be marked down as producer as well as you, like co-produce.
Right.
He said, I'll put you down as executive producer because he said, you make final decision. I said, okay, great. So,
Perfect.
Yeah. So that was cool. But that project ended up costing me $75,000.
Oh, my God.
To get it done. And
This one here.
That one there. And he said, and people ask me, how did you pay for that? Well, it's called a second mortgage on my house and scrimped and saved, but also a big thanks to Gord Broda, Rusty Clooney. I went in and had a meeting with both those guys, and I had a business plan all mapped out.
Right.
And Rusty tells me later, going back on that meeting in his mind, and he said, dude, we were trying to tell you in 20 minutes just to get in and try to tell you nicely, we're not interested. We've never supported music before. We've never invested in anything like that. But he said, you talked to us for an hour and 10 minutes and blew us to the wall. We were writing you a check before you even got out of your chair.
Hell yes.
So, but it was nice because what it was is it wasn't that they weren't going to get their money back. It was just fronting me the money up front.
Yep.
Go do your thing with this. Get it back to us as soon as you can. And that's what it was. And I didn't want that over my head, so that's why I took out the second mortgage on the house. And it helped because with that project, I had Charlie Daniels play on my album, on that one.
Oh, shit.
And I also had Marty Stewart play
On
the
that album?
Yeah. There's a song I wrote for my mom called Mama Taught Me Love, and that's Marty Stewart playing mandolin. And a song I wrote called Fiddleback, and that's Charlie Daniels playing fiddle with me.
Wow. Yeah.
On there. So
Freaking rights, man.
that's a real cool project.
And where was this recorded?
That was recorded in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's
so a question I have for you.
Yes.
For somebody who's as I don't know the terminology, let's call it seasoned or veteran in the industry, and with the outstanding career that you've had, what's a major thing that you can see the difference in from, let's say, 20 years ago on releasing music to releasing music today in 2024?
Radio is a big difference. It's absolutely huge. It's totally changed. And I think what happened and what really, to me, I don't want to say killed the radio industry, but it made it hard. made it tough. I feel bad for anybody trying to come out right now and trying to release anything to radio, because they pour their heart and soul into a song. They put money into a song. And on average, I don't care who it is, on average you're going to pay about $5,000 for one song to get completed. And once that's done, chances are if you don't have the money, mom and dad or grandpa and grandma, they put their money into it because they believe in you. And it's so hard and heartbreaking when they release a song to radio and there's no room to play them on the radio. Because the weirdest thing, and it's always been an uphill battle in Canada, because we're United States driven. We're US driven. Look who comes to all the festivals, United States people.
Yeah.
Do you ever go down to the United States and see a Canadian headlining events? No.
Right.
And I don't understand, why has it always been that way? And that's why it's tough, because, and they always say, it all starts with the song. They say it's all about the song. And I always say, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's about the money. It's about the money. Be honest.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not here to lie to anybody and say it is all about the. No, it's not. It's about the money.
Yep.
And if you have money behind you and you have people behind you that can help you get to that level, good for you. Good.
Yep.
That's a bonus. But don't think it's just going to release the song and it's just going to magically happen, because it's tough. And I'm being honest right now. It's very tough. And I point fingers at the way the industry went when Spotify came up and the streaming. And they stream. That's why when people look and they're so happy they get like 1 million streams, but how much money did you make?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
$1,000.
Yeah. If that.
Good
If
for you.
that.
Good for you. You made like not even 25% of your money back from 1 million spins. And how hard do you have to work to get 1 million spins? You're on that phone daily.
That's a 24/7 job.
So what has changed? It's that. Do I like it? No. I don't like the way it's gone. Can I do anything about it? No. You gotta go. So I'm not complaining or griping about what's happening. I'm just saying the reality.
That's something that's
really
different.
What's changed, I'd say, in the complete industry. Live shows have never changed. They're all the same.
Yep.
And the best advice I give to anybody out there, like, if you watch me, what I'm telling you, don't undervalue yourself.
Yes.
Don't sit back. You ever hear somebody say to you, come here and play for us, thinking the exposure you're going to get?
Yeah.
Walk away.
Oh, that
Walk away.
grinds my gears. Exposure doesn't pay the fucking bills.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Absolutely not. So when you do stuff like that, I mean, there's this post that I shared it the other day where it says, this bar owner says, does your band draw a crowd? And the mime looks back at him and says, does your bar draw a crowd?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's
It's really the same thing. So, but bottom line though, like everybody out there, if you're listening and you're up and comers and you got a band started, and I tell Aiden the same thing. You do not undervalue yourself. You make sure and set your price and leave it there. But stick to your guns. Don't say, well, you can do this for us this time, but then next time we'll come in just a little bit more, because the second you go, it's always easier to come down when you're up here with your fee. Come down rather than be here to get to here.
Right.
It's going to take you a lot longer.
Yep.
I think that's great advice.
Hypothetically, you charge $1,000 now, and that's cheap. And then the next time you go to that venue and you say it's $1,500, they go like, well, last time it was $1,000.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas the other way around, if you charge $1,500 now, and it's like, oh, you were good to me last time, I'll do it for $1,000. Oh, sweet.
Yeah. That's when we worked with Josh there a little bit, it was like, well, what are you charging for shows? And he told us the number, and it was like, dude, you need to add to that like immediately, bro. Like, you're not gonna get anywhere charging $50 for a show here or $100 there. Yeah. Like, no, like you're too good.
That's a tank of gas, and that's it.
Exactly. And then you've got 4 other members in the group, so now you're gonna split that $100 with 4 other people. Like, come on.
That's a fine line that I've been asked a lot of times, not just for me, but for anybody. When does the line come for you when you have to sit back and say, I can't do this for free anymore?
Yeah.
It's you have to pay me, because at the end of the day, you don't get your strings for free. Mm-hmm. Your lessons, if you're taking them, you don't get those for free. Mm-hmm. All of the time and energy you put into your project to learn your craft, that wasn't done for free.
Exactly.
It's like labor.
Exactly.
Okay, so don't give yourself away. Stop doing that. You're worth more than that. Set a value of yourself and what you think you're worth, and don't change.
Yes.
Because the second you give in, that's why a lot of people are having a hard time when they come in, and they'll sit back and tell you flat out, if you say $250, oh, well, I can get so and so for 50. Well, then go get so and so.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
So, honestly, you guys, what I tell people, if you feel like driving that kind of car today, go drive that kind of car. That's fine. That's totally your call. But there's certain vehicles that cost a little bit more to drive. And
Absolutely.
That's just the difference.
I do web design and digital marketing. It's the same thing, exactly the same there.
Yeah.
It's like I charge X amount of dollars for a website, and people go like, well, I can get it there for $500. Be my guest. Go get it for $500, and after 3 months, come back to me and then get a real website.
And you'll clean that whole kerfluffle right up, and yeah.
And it's
exactly.
Cost you 15.
Yeah. Exactly. That's when the price goes up, right?
Fix the mistakes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You ever wait in anticipation for your song to play on the radio, knowing that it's been requested so many times, and you still can't get it on there? Check this out. Go to Funky Moose Radio, to the app, and scroll all the way down and hit the S button for the search engine. Type in the song that you want to listen to. Hey, Kemper, come here, buddy. Come here. What's the name of that song that reminds you of My Singing Monsters that you like?
Semi-climactic.
And boom, your song is played. So yeah, go to Funky Moose Radio and request a song. Stay tuned and enjoy.
Question to you guys that maybe some listeners out there that are watching right now may not know, what is Funky Moose Records? What is it?
So Funky Moose Records is an online record store.
Okay.
And Funky Moose Digital is the digital marketing side of things. So we build websites and do, social media ads and social media posting and all that jazz. And then Joel and I do Moose Fest together.
Good.
And the podcast.
And then you also have Funky Moose Radio.
Funky Moose Radio.
As well, too. So it's an online radio station.
Well, good.
Where actually at the bottom of every hour, we highlight guests that are on the show. So we play their music at the bottom of every hour.
Yeah. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's all just, except for like the record store is an actual business, right? And then the digital marketing is everything else is all just hobby and passion.
Yeah.
Like none of it generates an income.
Well, technically, Moose Fest should eventually make some money that will go back in. It's a
so that
non-profit,
it's
so
so
not
that
going to
it's
get rich of that.
Yeah, any profits that Moose Fest does generate just goes into the festival again, to keep it going.
Yeah.
But yeah, what the hell was I? Oh, I was just saying how like we're still pretty green in it. So stuff like this is nice because we're kind of figuring it all out as well too, like just out of curiosity and funding is one thing. Like I'm gonna mention Josh again here. He was one of the first artists that we actually did something with, and we just got to know him really well. Big fans of his. And the conversation was like, oh, have you recorded that song yet? Like this went on for 1.5 years. He had performed it for us on the program here. Yeah. So every time we'd run into him, like, did you lay that down yet? Like, and it was always no. Like I just can't afford to. Like it's too expensive. Yep. So after putting our heads together, it was like, well, here's the deal. We'll help you finance the project just to get it out there. Like that's how much we believed in it. So everybody was in agreement, and it was like, okay, like we'll cover the recording costs and we'll give you X amount of years to just give us our investment back.
That's how it started.
Yeah. So it was something similar. It was like kind of like a loan basically, right? At 0% interest. Yeah. And that's just kind of how it all skyrocketed for him. It was like, we just got him in the studio because we just believed in him that much. And I'm glad that we did. Like, it's just things are going well for him. And we would love to be able to do that for other people. But that being said, none of what we're doing here generates an income. Right. So, like, we're going out of our pockets, our family's pockets to help support. So, it's great having people reach out to us and like, oh, can you help us out? And it's like, man, I really want to. Yeah. Like, I love you, I do, but
we can help you promote. But
yeah, I can help you promote
So
stuff,
don't be
but
calling Joel asking him for money.
yeah, don't be asking me for money because Josh has me tapped out right now. But
it's all Josh's fault.
yeah, Josh took all my money.
Joel showed up today on a bicycle.
He actually walked.
I actually walked here. But yeah, but like, you know, and I'm hoping moving forward in the future that we can do things like that. And like I said, we don't have everything figured out. It was just Josh, as an example, he was just that good, you know, that it just projected itself on its own, like very organically.
But that's how it starts, and it starts that way for anybody. I mean, Aiden Edwards, same thing with him with his band.
Yeah.
He just started his band, and he's into marketing. He's very tech savvy, which is really cool. It's a plus on him.
Yep.
And so him getting together with his band, but he's also not afraid to ask. Like, he'll call me. So he wants me to come in next time the band does a rehearsal and watch the band and give some advice, give some pointers to the band.
Yes.
What can I do to make it better? He said, that's all we want you to do. And I said, good, as long as I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, but I'll come in and tell you.
Yeah.
But I said, you know, if I'm going to come and tell you what's going to happen, he says, I know you're going to tell us the truth.
Yeah.
I always do.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's why you're there.
Nothing.
That's just it too. You know, it's like,
how are you going to get any better if you keep being told all the time, that sounds great, guys?
Yep. Exactly.
You can't do that.
Who was I talking to the other day? Not that long ago, an artist came up to me and he was like, so what'd you think? And I was like, well, sounded good. And he was like, but what do you really think? Like, no, it sounded good. Like, actually. Oh, because I hear it all the time that people, that it sounds good, whatever. But I need, like, real feedback. Like, if I have something to say, I will tell you.
Right.
Like, and it's true. Like, artists get like, oh, great set, high fives, whatever. But if there's something to improve, I will tell them.
I'll give you guys a good example of what it feels like when I was, we're talking about the Raider games. I remember coming home one time, Don Mitchell had asked me, he said, you're only home for a few days. Would you come in and sing the anthem at the Raider game? And I was just on a quick little break from Neal McCoy, and I'd come visit my family for like maybe a week if I was lucky. So Mom says, well, let's go to the Raider game. And so, well, they want me to do the anthem, but I'm not going to sing. I'm going to play my fiddle. You gonna play your fiddle? I said, yeah, I'm going to play "O Canada" on the fiddle. So I bring the fiddle out and they introduce me, and I got the long mullet hair, and I come out, get out there, and I'm playing my part, and it's all done. Well, I see my cousin right after. And he said, hey, I said, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. How you been? He said, good. I said, how'd it sound out there? He looked at me and says, not bad. He said, a couple of squeaks.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
keep you humble, man, the family.
Well, absolutely, man.
But, you know, I'll give you another example, too. Like, even my mom, I wrote a song with Jim Photoglow and Harry Stinson. So Harry brought me over to Jim's house in Nashville.
Sorry, what is his last name?
Jim Photoglow. And I wasn't sure
Photoglow?
who he was, Jim Photoglow. And so we go to his house and all these accolades on the wall, Songwriter of the Year, blah, blah, blah. And I'm walking through this mansion, and we go in this back room. And before we walked in, I looked at Harry and I said, who is this guy? He said, you don't know who Jim is? I said, no. You ever hear Fishing in the Dark? I said, yeah. He said, he wrote it. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those. So we go walking in, and I sat down with him and I told him the whole story about my mom and what it was like, and I want to write a song for my mom. And I told them the story, how I was the youngest kid of 4 kids. I hope we have time to tell this story. But I'm the youngest of 4 kids. We grew up in a 2-bedroom house in Prince Albert and had no running water, no sewer. And even though next door they had everything, my little buddy, he was 5 and he had everything, but we didn't. You know, we had an outhouse out back and living in the city. Couldn't figure it out. Come to find out, like after, you know, talking to my mom, we had what we needed, but we were poor. Oh, very poor. You know, like I'm talking Salvation Army at Christmas time, different things like that. So going through that, I could remember, and then Mom told me, she said, I worked a minimum wage job. And it took me a year to save up $300. And that $300 went to a down payment towards a brand new house on 12th Street West in Prince Albert in 1972. And it was, the house, brand spanking new, was $12,900. That was the mortgage. So Mom saved $300, never told my dad. She'd tuck away $5 every now and then and tuck it away. And then she went down and she come home with the papers one day and have my dad sign these papers and said, this is our new house. So we got our new house, 3-bedroom home, basement, bathroom, running water. It was awesome. But this is what my family was like. Dad walked in, looked at the kitchen fixture, And he looked at my mom when she come walking, and he said, "Look, Mom," he says, "we have a chandelier." That's what it was like for us.
Yes.
As kids. So I'm telling this story, and Jim and Harry just kept writing stuff down. So Jim stops and puts the paper down. He says, "You know what?" Grabbed a G chord, and he says, "Your mom taught you how to love." He said, "That's the name of the song." So it's called "Mama Taught Me Love." And I have a video out if people want to see it, but that's the story behind that song. All the songs, like even the song that I did earlier, Postmarked Heaven, I wrote that on behalf of my dad, because I lost my dad in 1990 to cancer. He was only 53 years old, and I was 23. And I was mad at the world, because, I just didn't know why. Because the way I looked at it is there were so many people on this planet that are bad. Why did you take away a good one? Mm-hmm. Why? He didn't. And I even said, I looked up and I said, "He didn't do nothing to you." I said, "Now I'm angry." And I left it. So about a few months go by after Dad had passed. He always knew I wanted to play on the Grand Ole Opry. Following year in March, Dad died in September. March, I meet Neal McCoy. I go down south. 9 months after Dad passed, we walked on the Grand Ole Opry stage. And I called Mom that day and I said, "Every dream I've ever had in my life is coming true tonight, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do now." And it's like Dad spoke through my mom, because this doesn't sound like Mom. It's something my dad would say.
Yeah.
Don't stop with one. Go get new ones and keep getting them. Get your dream. Dream it. Go get it. Dream it. Go get it. Don't stop with just one. I went, "Okay, Mom, I'll do that." But I said, "By the way, I wrote Dad a letter." "Did you?" I said, "Yeah. Just let him know what I'm doing tonight." I hung on to that letter for 15 years, and that's the song that I came up with, was Postmarked Heaven, based around that letter. So that's songwriting. It's stories. It's deep stories.
Yeah.
So I was proud to write a song for Mom and proud to write one for my dad. And I remember going to sing that for my mom when I first come back home. And that was the hardest thing I ever did, was singing in front of Mom, just her and I. Mm-hmm. Quiet, just in her kitchen. And I'm sitting there and I'm done. And she says, "Yeah." She says, "That's pretty good." She said, "Have you heard that new Brad Paisley song?" She said, "That's deadly."
Thanks, Mom.
Oh my God. I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm writing this letter to let you know that I am all right. In case you were wondering, I no longer sleep with the light on. So much has changed since you've been gone. Mama's now working down at the Wilson grocery store. Becky's through learning. Now she drives your whole Ford to pick me up from school. Postmarks at heaven to Daddy with love. He placed it up on the counter and said, "Mister, how much?" His tears started to fill that old man's eyes. And he said, "Letters to heaven, they don't cost a dime." I said thank you, turned around and waved goodbye. "Can I come back tomorrow? Do you think that would be all right?" And he said, "Son, anytime." Postmarks at heaven to Daddy with love. He placed it up on the counter and said, "Mister, how much?" His tears started to fill that old man's eyes. And he said, "Letters to heaven, they don't cost a dime."
Yeah, so how did you? Okay, so you were saying at the top of the show how I can't even remember the guy's names. It was something
George?
Pistol.
George Piston.
Yeah, so he was the gentleman who like taught you how to
Really helped me in the beginning because I kind of taught myself. I mean, because
Right.
people ask, and a lot of people get the misconception. They sit back and say, "I can remember when you were just a little kid riding your bike to lessons." I'm going, no. I started playing when I was 14, fiddle. And I remember I played guitar when I was 12, and we had a school program at Queen Mary School. The music teacher was named Mrs. Taggart. And Mrs. Taggart showed me my first chord on the guitar, showed me about 4 or 5 chords, and we got to take these guitars home like a library book, sign them out, take them home, practice and play, and I just loved it. So we come back to school, and I just kept playing. And then when I was 14, I was in junior high. And I remember looking, and I was always fascinated with fiddle music. I was one of them kids where we used to go to weddings, and a lot different than today because a lot of kids don't get to go to weddings. They don't get to go to dances.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough back during that time that we all did. And I was dancing in front of live bands by myself and just loved it because I was just fascinated with live music. And I always had that fiddle music in my head because Dad would always play that music downstairs on an 8-track tape, on a record, didn't matter. We'd hear music all the time. And so I remember when I took the fiddle out, it was underneath the bed, took it out, brought it to Dad, and I showed him, and I said, "Hey," I said, "I know it's broken and stuff, but can we go get this fixed?" 8 o'clock at night on a school night. So anyway, "Yeah, let's go in a couple of weeks," he said. "We'll go see Mr. Ferguson." I said, "Well, can we go now?" He said, "But you got school tomorrow." And then my mom's in the kitchen going, "Leave your dad alone. You got school tomorrow. You got to go to bed."
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Dad starts up the car, and I come walking by with the fiddle in my hand, and Mom looks at me and said, "You big baby."
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I got my way. So we go over to see Mr. Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson said, "Yeah, come back in 2 weeks." So I came back 2 weeks and opened up the case. It was like, and there it was.
Yeah.
And I knew something about that instrument and me. There was a connection. So I picked up the fiddle, and he said, "Yeah, put your finger here, 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 here. Yeah, okay, tighten up your bow. Do this when you're done. Put it away in the case. Put some rosin on there really quick." And then when I was done, I went home. So this is probably about maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By 11 o'clock that night, all I did was went downstairs. Didn't even come up for supper. I was downstairs the whole time. And I heard this song in my head. And it was, I always tell people, it's like the carousel song when you're going around on the carousel on the horses. It was that da-do-do-do-da.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Da-do-do-da-do-do-da. I had that in my head, but I figured out where to put my fingers to make that sound. And I had half of the song down. 11 o'clock at night, I walk in, wake up my dad. Play that. I said, "Dad, you got to hear this." "What?" I said, "This." And I started playing. He said, "That's good." And I said, "How does the second half go?" He looks at the clock. He said, "It's 11 o'clock. I go to school.
Yes.
Go to bed. Go see Mr. Ferguson tomorrow." So I went and seen Mr. Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson says, "Anything wrong with the fiddle?" I said, "No." But I said, "I can play this. How's the second half go?" He said, "Who showed you that?" I said, "I could hear it in my head. And I learned how to play it myself." And he said, "You have a gift." That's where that all come from.
Right.
So then I did as much as I could on my own, and then I'd get to a certain point, and then I remember there was one time I did a talent show with Freddie Pelche, and Freddie Pelche was in the band. I couldn't wait to meet Freddie because we had an album of Freddie Pelche's.
Yeah.
And that album had his picture on it, and I thought, man, when you have that, you're famous.
Yeah.
And it was really the first famous dude I ever met. So I went up and I met him, and I said, "Man," I said, "just what an honor to meet you." And he says, "Oh," I said, he said, "I played with Al Cherney lots." So he said, "Don't worry about your fiddle tunes. We'll be okay." So he gets up there going, "Wow, this is amazing." So he told me after that little talent show, "You need to go see George Piston. He'll help you with your fiddle playing." So that's where George came into the picture. And he took me under his wing. And the coolest thing, it went full circle. because when I started playing with Neal McCoy and came back, I was playing a lot of Texas-style fiddle music, and there was a fiddle tune that George wanted to learn. Well, George came to the house with his tape recorder, and I showed him a fiddle tune. And my mom was in the kitchen the whole time. She says, "Isn't that funny how it goes full circle like that? The student's teaching the teacher."
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
beauty.
it just happens like that,
awesome.
right?
Freaking rights, man.
So much respect, so much fun that I had. And then Brian Sklar was also a big influence. And Brian Sklar with the #1 West TV show. But even backtracking, because a lot of people may not know how first band I ever played in was my Uncle George's band. And you probably worked with Uncle George at the PA Bottlers. George Sinclair.
That name rings a bell, yeah.
Big guy. He was probably doing the CO2 tanks and everything in the back.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
He was my brother Wayne's boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he would have been back there. You would have ran into him. Anyway, but Uncle George played accordion and had a band, and Wilf Savitsky, who was a sergeant of police at the time, and Dave Holtum was also on the police force. He was the bass player. Wilf was the guitar player. So when I'm 15 and I joined the band, and I'm going to get my license that year, and I go and those two officers took me aside and they said, "You going to get your license?" "Yeah." "Once you get your license," they said, "you do any shit driving, when your dad's through with you, you're going to deal with us too."
Yeah. Yes.
I was the nicest kid. So that's where I got my start, was Uncle George. So then from there, real quick, I went from Uncle George to, then I met Grant Carson and Sean Carson. They come through the National Hotel. That's where I really got my start. And it was a jam session that happened on a Saturday afternoon. I went in to play a couple of fiddle tunes. And that Wednesday, because I played on a Saturday afternoon, following Wednesday, we got a phone call that night. It was Grant Carson. He said, "You ever thought of playing music for a living on the road?" I said, "No," I said, "never did." But I says, "I'm going into my physical and aptitude testing for the Air Force in Saskatchewan in 2 weeks." And he says, "Oh, okay." Well, he says, "I was in the Navy." He said, "Best of luck to you." But he said, "I'm just telling you right now." He said, "You got a chance at really playing music for a living." I said, "Okay." So that stuck in my head and it bothered me. So that Friday, and it was a blizzard hit. And I took my cousin Stacy and we drove to Lloydminster in a blizzard after I was done work that day just to go see Grant so I could talk to him.
Right.
And we stayed at my cousin's house that night in Lloyd, and I walked in the bar. He took me aside and he said, "So why do you want to join the Air Force?" And I said, "Well, I really want to do this for a while, then be a police officer in Prince Albert. That was my dream." "Okay. Why?" And I said, "Well, I want to do that. I'd like to wear a uniform where people recognize what I do. I want to travel the world and be respected for what I do. That's it." "Okay, so let me tell you right now, music, you can wear a 3-piece suit if you want to. It's up to you what you want to wear when you're up there. Get good enough at your craft, you will travel the world. And you're going to be doing something that not everybody can do."
Yes.
I went, "Whoa." And he says, "Because that's natural talent." So he said, "Let's get down to business." He started talking. He said, "What do you make a month playing?" He says, "I can pay you that. Come on the road and play for a living." Okay, so I had basically 2 days to go home, and I couldn't sleep, and I told my dad, and Dad didn't want me to go. Mom didn't want me to go. And finally I said to Dad, and I said, "Well, I could at least go give it a shot, because Wayne told me if I go, I could come back and get my job again if I want to."
Right.
But Wayne also was a big influence on me and said to get out of here. Get out of PA. Don't stay here, because he said, "I don't want you to get stuck. You're the youngest." He said, we're all married now, all of us. My 3 siblings were all married at the time.
And you were how old?
I was only 19.
Oh, yeah.
So he said, "You need to go. Get out of PA. Go do something with your music." That's what he told me. So I listened and left. And within 1 month, Mom and Dad came to see me play in Moose Jaw. They surprised me. And I always tell people, it's like hammering a nail for 30 days in a row. That's all you do all day long is hammer a nail. But that 30th day, you're pretty damn good at hammering a nail. Same thing with fiddle. I was doing really good at fiddle tunes. And so Grant Carson looks at my dad and he looks at me and says, "Play your dad a fiddle tune." I said, "Okay, let's do this one." I just rip off this fiddle tune. I don't even look at my dad yet, and all of a sudden look at my dad's jaws almost on the floor. And I was done. I went to the table and he gave me a big hug and he looked at me and said, "You made the right decision."
Hell
That's
yes.
what he knew. So that's kind of how it all started and got the ball rolling. So then from Grant Carson, I ended up coming back home here, played with Freddie Pelche and his band, and then the #1 West TV show, And then from there, I went and played with Joyce Smith in Edmonton, Alberta for about a month and a half, which led me to meeting Neal McCoy in Edmonton. And that's how I got my start when I met Neal. And Neal told me in the beginning when I first met him, he said, we're looking for a fiddle player, but I can't afford one. I said, okay. I said, no problem. So Sean Carson, who's Grant's son, was playing with us too. And Sean said, go see him. So what do you mean? He's standing over there. I said, just go talk to him. I said, but he can't afford a fiddle player. He said, go talk to him. So I went and talked to him and said, would you be interested in hearing me play? I said, sure. I said, we're having a rehearsal tomorrow. He said, come on in, bring your fiddle. So he just left it at that and wanted to get rid of me.
Right.
He told me after. I'm just trying to get rid of you. He said,
Slough you off.
You were bugging the shit out of me, so I wanted to get rid of you. Okay. So I went in the next day and had my fiddle. And I was listening to the band play. And he said, Donny, you out there? And I said, yeah. So I brought up my fiddle. Each band member was already told what to do to get rid of me quick. So the keyboard player says to me right away, he said, you know, we play some songs in E flat, some songs in F sharp, and things. He's looking at me. I said, it's okay. I said, I know all the keys. Just tell me what key and I'll play. Well, that won me over with him. So he said, no, he's legit. Then it goes to the bass player. He starts playing, and I knew he loved Western swing, and so did I. And I was playing Western swing, just that style, and he was just, the more harder I played, the more he dug it. So I already had him. The guitar player, who also played steel guitar, he was liking the way I was playing. Then the drummer, okay, said he had a real deep Texas voice. Eddie says, you know Orange Blossom Special? I said, yes, I do. Eddie said, get you some of this, and he kicks it off. I didn't know that was his top speed of the drummer. That was my starting speed. I wanted to go faster, and he couldn't.
Oh, man.
So when we started going, and I'm just ripping into it, and he's watching me, he's going, and he tells the story after. He said, damn little dickhead was just playing so fast I couldn't keep up. So I was going. So then Neal was out front watching us. So then Neal says, do you sing? And I said, yeah. I said, I sing. So I sang him a tune. And the way Neal is just like the way I am now, because our personalities are very, very similar. Like when we like something, we laugh and we clap. It's just our way of expressing ourselves. I'll just laugh and look and just say, like, are you kidding me? Like it's just, and I'll just go, ah. And that's what he was doing, but he was running around Cook County Saloon laughing and clapping.
Yes.
So he come up, and then he said, okay, tell you what, I'm going to pay you $50 a week. And he says, and I'll even throw in that little jam box that we have. I'll throw that into the deal. So little did I know, the band went back to the band house, and they said, okay, we got to hire this kid. He said, man, guys, I can't afford it. We can't do it. He said, I'm telling you, if you wait, he's going to be gone when we come back. They said, we know that he will not be here. He'll be with somebody in the States playing. Okay? So he said, what do you want to do? The band came out of the room, and they said, okay, Neal, take $25 a week off of each of our paycheck. There's $100 a week extra for you. Now go hire him. Pay the rest. So Neal came up with it and went against his wife's wishes, his manager, his label, and then hired me anyway. And I went down. And one by one, they all came out.
Yes.
His wife came out to see me, and she met me. And it was awesome. And I got to play for his father-in-law, and his father-in-law fell in love with the way that I played and liked that. I mean, my God, he would take me to, it was almost like his little pet monkey every now and then. we go to the clothing store where we go buy our Western clothes and stuff, and say, bring your fiddle in, Donny. You got to show him how you play. This kid's from Canada. Watch this. Play him that tune. And I'd be sitting there going, okay.
At the clothing store.
Oh, yeah, at the clothing store.
I love it.
And people just, so it was so cool. But to have that experience, with him for 12 years, to go through what I did, to get to that point, and even to go in the studio and record on all the albums from that time forward. And I was the only musician that got to record on all the albums when I was with them. And to learn that's why it was almost like, when I look back at my life now, everything that I did that led me up step by step, it molded me, getting me ready for the next venture.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Because in the beginning, people say I was never really drawn to Canadian style fiddle music. It was always the American, like that that style.
Yeah.
I was never which I can do, but I was never drawn to that. It was always the American style, which led me to Grant Carson, who that was all his style. And then I learned more from him, the Western swing and everything, which led me to Neal McCoy. That was their style. And learning everything I did from Neal, especially right down to producers. The producers I got to work with. which led me to come back home, start my career, learn how to sing better, songwrite, to go in the studio. I take all their knowledge and throw it into what I have.
Yes.
And it just all passes down. 2, 3, 4. As a young man, spent my time staring out that horizon line, knowing so much more for me. Fame and fortune would be found just past the edge of town. The grass is surely greener when you're young. That's how it always seems now these days. I wake up and I'm thankful. I pray that I will still be granted a simple life, a hand to hold, a chance to watch my children grow, to live, love, and leave my family name. That's all I ask these days. I've learned the most important rule is one that they don't teach in school. If you chase your dreams, don't forget the cost. When you're blinded by gold star dust, it's hard to know who you can trust. Keep your friends and family close, 'cause in the end they're the ones that mean the most now these days. I wake up and I'm thankful, and I pray that I will still be granted a simple life, a hand to hold, a chance to watch my children grow, to live, love, and leave my family name. And that's all I ask these days. Ain't it funny how it always seems the reasons that you have to leave and the reasons you return are the same. Now these days I wake up and I'm thankful, and I pray that I will still be granted a simple life, a hand to hold, a chance to watch my children grow, to live, love, and leave my family name. That's all I ask these days. These days. These days.
Donny, like, man, we haven't even scratched the surface yet here. So
Will you come back?
We'll have to do another one.
Okay. Dude, we would love to have you come back here any freaking time you want. Like I said, we haven't scratched the surface. Thank you again for joining us. And before we end this, can you just maybe give us a quick blip of like what do you have coming up in the rest of the year here, and where can people like follow you and find you?
Absolutely. The best way to do it is just follow me either on Facebook. Look me up on that. I mean, I'm on that social media portion of it. This week, I have a couple of shows coming up in September. There's one called Donny Parenteau's Colors of the Sash, which is going to be at the Rawlinson Center.
Nice.
Where I get together with Métis artists and put together a show for them. And then also I'm the president of an organization called Saskatchewan Indigenous Music Association, which has an award show. We had our first annual award show last year. And all that's based on is that it gives recognition to some artists that are out there that may have never had that opportunity. And they're Indigenous and they're from Saskatchewan, because we only base it in Saskatchewan. And the beauty of the whole thing, all of us on the board, who are on the board, probably 5 of us could submit our own project into this. That's not why we're doing this.
Yeah.
It's not for us. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the rules I said. And they didn't know, and I said, even Tegan Little Chief, she's on the board, and
Okay.
and she asked if she could submit, and I said, well, no, that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this for everybody else but us.
Yep.
Right.
And I want to make sure that people know that. And it works great. So I'm very fortunate to be a part of that and to watch that grow. Because I always look at it that there's always those little ones up north where their dreams die in those four walls. Not anymore. This is your opportunity to come out and sing, come and play, or we'll teach you. And
Yes.
that's what it's about. So I'm very fortunate to have that. But besides other than that, just it's going to be a busy summer doing shows and festivals. And I'm at Métis this year.
Excellent.
Back again at Métis. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Fort McMurray. I go up to Fort McMurray and doing some Métis fests up there this year. And yeah, really looking forward to it.
You were just in, weren't you just in Fort Mac last week?
Just in Fort Mac last week.
Yeah. And that was a good show?
That was a good show. We had
Hell
a blast.
yeah, dude.
I had a blast at the casino. It was good.
Beauty.
Yeah, you bet.
Beauty. Well, true pleasure.
Thank
you
you very
are officially a member of the herd that we have created over
Awesome.
the years.
Glad to be a part of it.
Man, like I said, anytime you want to come back, if you got something to promote or you just want to come and shoot the shit with us some
Yeah,
more, man, just please
absolutely.
don't be a stranger. Hit us up anytime, man.
Maybe I'll bring Josh and Aiden with me.
There you go. You guys should
together.
come and jam.
We'll get together and have a little jam, have a little chit chat.
Dude, we would love that.
Sounds
That'd be a shit ton of fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We'll tell some stories.
Hell yeah. So with
See
that,
you guys next week.
you bet. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. Bye.
Thanks, guys.